please welcome Keith.avi with his speech entitled The GRA. I got it. The GRA, Keith.avi.
Last Sunday was Anzac Day. How many of you played tuba? None of you? How many of you know what tuba is? A few. Tuba is a traditional Australian gambling game played with 2 coins. The 2 coins are tossed in the air and people bet on whether the 2 heads or the 2 tails will come up. Tuba is illegal in Victoria, except you can play tuba in the RSL on Anzac Day. This is allowed because tuba was very popular in the trenches in World War I, and it's become part of the digger culture. All gambling in Victoria is unlawful, except where approved by the government. This is to ensure that gambling is honest, to keep it away from the influences of the criminals, and the laws are written in the Gambling Regulation Act 2003, also known as the GRA. Most of you are probably familiar with the mainstream forms of gambling. There's the lotteries, there's the pokie machines, there's wagering on horses or greyhounds, and maybe sports betting. These are all organised under licenses which are provided or issued by the government to certain companies. They have to abide by strict rules. They have to maintain details of every transaction that's made, and they need to get monitored closely by the government. For the casino, there's a different Casino Act. Now, trade lotteries are those lotteries where you don't actually have to pay a fee to enter. You simply have to phone a phone number, send in a form, or visit a website. And some of the trade lotteries, you have to take one of those labels off the product and send it in. These are also regulated by the government. And you might hear when there's an advert on the radio, click permit number 12345. They have to give you the permit number so that you know that they are legitimate. Now, apart from these gambling types that I've mentioned, all other gambling types are what's known as charitable gambling. And charitable gambling exists so that you can raise funds and get money for charitable organisations or communities. And this covers things like raffles, bingo, and lucky envelopes. Now, most of you have probably seen, at least, or participated in raffles. And you're probably not aware that there are quite a few laws associated with raffles. Raffles can only be held by a charitable organisation or community, and they need to be regarded as such by the regulator, which means you have to apply. participated in many raffles over my time in Victoria, where I believe they have broken several of those laws. Raffles, for example, may not offer a cash prize unless it is part of an accommodation or a travel package, and then only 10% of the value. A raffle that offers a cash prize becomes an illegal lottery. I must point out that the charitable gambling portion of the laws are not all that strongly enforced. For example, church-run bingo is theoretically illegal, but it is carried out in the open and nobody enforces the rules. An individual or an organization that decides to take advantage of that does so at their own peril. The fine for a first offence, an illegal bingo or raffle, is more than $2,000, and for a second offence is more than $6,000. Just before I end, I must point out that I am not a legal expert. And these are just my opinions based on my knowledge of the GRA. And if you are going to indulge, organise, or carry out some gambling activities, you would be strongly advised to consult with a legal counsel. I want you to remember 4 things from what I've been telling you tonight. Gambling in Victoria is illegal. It has a lot of laws and there are substantial penalties. The major forms of gambling have detailed laws and they are monitored very closely by the government. Charitable gambling is a bit more open, but it still has substantial penalties. And Chula is a game, Australian traditional game, played on Anzac Day. Let's meet again. Thank you.